started to hurt. The impact was getting to my knees, and my feet, my ankles, and my back. Some people say that's just what happens after 30 years. The parts wear out, and you have to quit. But I love to run. I get some of my best reading done that way, by listening to authors. One time I was listening to Chris McDougall talk about a book he wrote, Born to Run, about this Mexican guy who runs ultra marathons in his bare feet. No problems. He's my age, right? Meanwhile, I'm buying running shoes like crazy, and it's not helping. I even invented a new ass. Running shoes as a service, right? The idea was that the service would nag me when it was time to buy new running shoes, but that wasn't the problem. The problem is I was doing it wrong. On the podcast, Chris McDougall explained what that Mexican guy is doing right. He leads with his forefoot. That's the essence of barefoot running. When you lead with your forefoot, you use your legs like springs. Scientists at Nike and Adidas and New Balance sold us on a different idea. They wanted us to use our legs like stilts, so they could sell us a lot of stilt cushions. Really? Get up in your chair, jump off, see how you land. Or try this sometime. Skip rope and see what happens. I guarantee you'll land on springs, not stilts. And that's really all you need to know about barefoot running. Of course, I had heard there was a cool new app for that, so I had to check it out. Toe gloves. We've been running for 1,000,000 years before we thought about putting gloves on our toes. But you gotta try the cool new app, right? So I did, and it worked. Running in these things actually felt better. Also, I got to lecture all my friends about why it was cool to wear gloves on your toes, which, let's face it, is half the fun of the new app, right? Being the smug early adopter, getting to explain it to everybody else. People just love that, don't they? After a while, though, I decided it didn't make so much sense to wear gloves on my toes. I don't know, maybe for some of you guys, but it wasn't working for me. I found there were some annoyances. So here are my top 3 5-fingers annoyances. First, I don't know about your toes, but mine are significantly less prehensile than my fingers are. And getting my toes into 5 fingers turned out to be a lot harder than putting on a pair of gloves, which really pissed me off. Second thing is, I run on trails with sticks and rocks and tree roots and pine cones, and the 5 fingers don't give very much protection against that kind of stuff. So I wound up with scrapes and bruises. That pissed me off too. But third, this was the deal breaker. I live in New Hampshire where it snows sometimes a lot and sometimes for like half the year. 5 fingers don't really cut it in the snow. You kind of need regular shoes and socks. Or I guess you can try some other new apps to kind of deal with the annoyances, right? So for tree roots and rocks and sticks and stones, you can get 5 fingers with ultra rugged soles. Or for the winter, toe socks to go with your toe gloves. So I went to the App Store to buy some of these newfangled shoes and socks, but I couldn't decide what to get. There were too many choices, and it just felt like a hassle. But meanwhile, it's getting to be October and then November, and my feet are freezing. So I broke out the old running shoes and I started to use them again. I felt like a backslider. My friends kept saying, what happened to the funny new shoes? Well, the thing is, I've learned how to use my old running shoes in a new way. I've learned how to run on springs instead of stilts. And, you know, we want it to be about the shoes, but it's really not about the shoes. It's just a different way of running. And yeah, it has been a challenge to unlearn the old style and learn the new style. 30-year habit. It's hard to break a 30-year habit, but I do like to break habits. I guess you could say it helps keep me on my toes. You know that Nike and New Balance and Adidas would try to get out in front of the barefoot running parade. So now you can buy shoes there for people that want to do barefoot style running, but in regular shoes. They're called barefoot running shoes. I don't know, maybe, but not yet. At least not for me. Now that I know it's not about the shoes, I want to see how many pain-free miles I can get out of the last pair they sold me. And I'm thinking it's going to be a lot of miles. You know, for 30 years, these guys had me sold on the wrong thing. The 5 fingers helped me figure out what the right thing is, but you don't really need them. Just pay attention to what 1,000,000 years of evolution designed your legs to be when you run. Springs.